I know that there are different components that go into the pricing of fuel, from the global prices to the cost of refining and targets, revenue that people are hoping to get on it, distribution and marketing costs. But what are the other things that go? I know taxes as well. Break it down for us. I want us to do that exercise today. What goes into the pricing of fuel?
So you have 3 stages of pricing. The first one is called ex-refinery position. Ex-refinery means you've processed crude into the different components or variables, petrol, diesel, kero, jet, fuel, all of the other products that you could get out of crude. Once you get the refining done, in calculating ex-refinery, you probably are looking at the cost of crude, right?
Right.
Plus the cost of refining, which is what they call tolling.
Right.
So that will give you the cost of the refined product. Crude having moved from, the base product to a refined product. Then you get it to probably the depot. So the second stage is called ex-depot. At that stage, government is saying, okay, I need taxes of the product. So I'm adding tax A, B, C, D. That will take you to ex-depot position. Then from ex-depot, you are looking at ex-pump.
Right.
So that's the final stage.
Right.
And that's where you add...
That is where you and I go and
that's what eventually that's what we pay for.
Right.
So 3 stages: ex-ref, ex-depot, and then ex-pump.
Ex-pump. Right.
So ex-ref, crude, and then the tolling, whatever it costs to process crude. So the actual cost of the product, that is it. Ex-depot, you are looking at taxes having been added at the depot position. Government says, okay, I need tax A, B, C, D. And then ex-pump, you are looking at margins, markups, whatever the fuel companies would also need in order to be able to keep
because
running.
they need to get their margin to stay in business.
To stay in business,
right?
Yes, because they have made an investment that they would need to pay pump attendants for utilities and all that. So
even Goyle, the state-run oil company, would need to make some markups because, SNIT invests in there, and ordinary Ghanaians also have their interest. And they must keep running, like you're saying.
And they must keep running, they must pay pump attendants, and they must pay for light, they must pay for water used, they must pay for any financing costs that comes with building those stations or facilities or running them. So they add their margins, and then you come to the ex-pump price, which is the final figure that you see at the pumps. In all of this, however, there are 3 other significant variables. The stages of pricing set. When you come to the variables that also determine final pricing, ex-pump, there are 3 of them.
Okay, so 3 variables in addition, from the start, and then when it comes to 3 stages, and when it comes to the final part, there are another 3 variables.
You are looking at 3 variables that are encapsulated in the stages.
Right.
But they are very dominant.
Which are what?
Okay. The ex-refinery price, plus or minus, give or take, if you don't refine in country, you would need to import, right? Because your refinery is not working. So you go to another refinery in another country to say, okay, I'm buying 40,000 metric. And then the cost of logistics, your insurance, freight, whatever it costs to move the product, to your country, FOB, is now what ex-refinery price will mean. So if you are refining at all, right? Let's say Ghana's crude, you decided to refine at all. Then TOR will charge their tolling in addition to the cost of the crude, right? And give you ex-refinery. But if you are buying from Rotterdam, Rotterdam will charge their tolling in addition to the crude. But you would still need to pay for freight, you need to pay for insurance, you need to pay for whatever demurrage.
Which is why you would want to have your own refinery.
Exactly. That's why you would want,
exactly. And maybe you rather export rather than have to bring it
and cut back the logistical costs.
Right.
But unfortunately, we are not refining. So you would need to necessarily import from Europe. Now, importing from Europe, you cannot go and say, I'm buying 10,000 metric. I have cedi, 10 million Ghana cedi. So you would need to convert your local currency into the dollar, the greenback, and then take it to Europe and bring the fuel. Now, the fuel gets to Ghana, and Ghana government says, look, I have only one legal tender, which is the cedi.
Right.
So you cannot trade in the dollar at the pumps. So that's where the conversion, the cedi's exchange to the dollar, comes to play. If I have to sell and get my $10 million dollars or Ghana cedi, 10 million Ghana, if previously the dollar was, say, 4 cedis to a dollar, it means that I would need about 10 million to get $2.5 million. If I forecast that at the time I'll be done selling, right, I probably am going to need about 11 million because the cedi is not stable.
Right.
To get the same 2.5 million, maybe the cedi to a dollar would have moved from, say, 4.0 to about 4.2. The 0.2 in there, if I don't factor into my pricing, I would owe the supplier and I cannot pay.
Wow.
So they do what they call the forward rates, whatever.
Wow.
The forward forex. So that is added to ex-refinery position. So those two key components, how much you get in the product for FOB, probably Rotterdam here, and then the cost of your city's depreciation as far as your knockouts or net-offs is concerned.
Right.
Then when you are done, you come to add the taxes that we had discussed earlier.
Exactly. Which have been slapped on our petroleum
Exactly.
price.
The taxes, margins, markup, levies, and all of them. You slap all of that, you still come to the same ex-pump price position. But those two variables mentioned earlier, quite critical. The taxes, very local, right? The two variables, international market price. Ghana cannot determine how much a barrel of crude would sell for. We cannot determine how much a metric ton of, let's say, kero or petrol or diesel would sell for. We don't determine that.
Right.
So that is external. Then the cedi dollar is quasi, internal, quasi external. How much of the reserves you have to be able to give to people who import to pay their suppliers.
Now, the Bank of Ghana, some experts, economists are saying that put out more dollars, like we usually do, but we know it's not a sustainable measure.
But that is only subject to how much Bank of Ghana has
available
itself. Exactly.
As a central bank.
Yes, subject to. If it has just $1 billion, it cannot put in 5 billion. So it will put in what it has. So it's semi-controlled. But the taxes, which is the third component, is purely a finance ministry job. So you would realize before we went into the deregulation proper, finance ministers will stand in parliament and read the budget and indicate how much fuel will be sold for, how much transport fares will be for. After deregulation, finance ministers still do get to go to parliament and either introduce, increase, or decrease taxes. So taxes is within our domain, jurisdiction. The cedi dollar is quasi. Partially, we can manage it. Sometimes when people are importing so much, it's difficult to say you won't pay the supplier, and there's pressure on the dollar, the few dollars in the system. So if you put the three together, question is asked, can we manage these three such that the people of Ghana are not inconvenienced? If you do throw that question to most petroleum economists, the answer will be a yes, you can manage.